I apologise if you can hear my little boy. He's just getting ready to go to judo with his dad. I obviously don't take him. What I have Googled online is you can get what is called blemish patches. And these ones are in the shape of a butterfly. So what I've done is I've decided to use these on my legs to see whether or not they help with the inflammation. This is a scar, by the way. A lot of these are scars. The inflammation on my legs. Now, the reason why, this is what apparently it says on the information packet, is each one of these little butterflies has got some kind of chemical on them that's supposed to help make your skin get better. And when you see like a little raised lump in between, like where the butterfly wings are, so to speak, it's because the chemical on the pads, on the little blemish pads, is reacting with your skin to try and fight the infection and reduce the swelling. Yes, before anyone comments, I know my legs are hairy, but unfortunately when you have skin like mine, which is extremely sensitive, the last thing you try and do is mess around with it, because I get enough flare-ups as it is due to my high white blood cell count and possibly my bile acid malabsorption condition, which I am having to undergo more tests for later on in the year. So we shall see how good these are. But one thing they are good for, is so many young people during puberty suffer with really bad acne because of, obviously, most of it's due to obviously a chemical imbalance within the body. And I mean, even if they didn't want to wear them during the day, but if they were to say put these patches on at night before they go to bed, it might be a really good confidence booster for them. I mean, I don't know whether schools would actually allow girls or boys to go to school with butterflies. I mean, you can get other shapes. I just picked these because they were purple, on their skin. So instead of feeling really self-conscious about having acne, they've got like little butterflies on where the major outbreaks are. It would also prevent people from being obsessed with constantly having to wear makeup, because all the makeup is going to do is clog the pores even more. And then when you take all of the stuff off to allow your skin to breathe, it's a bit like a vicious circle. So during the summer, I mean, I know my legs are white like milk bottles compared to my arms. That's because I don't usually allow my legs to get much sun, because I would burn because I'm ginger. And also, traditionally only people that worked outside would be tanned, and people that were quite well off and wealthy would always be as pale as possible. Most of that, again, was because of the cosmetics they used had a lot of like lead, like white lead in it, which obviously could hide a multitude of sins to a point. But then Queen Victoria's face, what actually started happening to her, especially after she got the pox, was because she was constantly putting white lead onto her skin. She actually banned mirrors in the castle. Sorry, I couldn't think of the word of where she lived. In the castle, because she was so ashamed of how bad her skin was. And a lot of the reason her skin was so disfigured wasn't just because she got the pox, but it was because she used a lead to try and make herself look pure like the Virgin Mary. So again, a lot of cosmetics that used to be invented for women, but not just for women, for men as well, they were not kind to your skin. And I know nowadays people know a little bit more about cosmetics and, what's good and what's bad, etc. But people tend to forget that your skin is the largest living organism on your body. It not only that, it's the most important organism as well, because it helps to protect everything that's internal. So your blood, your muscles, your other organs, your bones. So this is like your first line of like defense for your immune system, which is why I'm constantly saying to my doctors, look, if my skin is looking like this, I know it looks really pretty now that I've put butterflies on. I was thinking of getting some of my paint out and doing like a garden scene or poppy scene or something. So I might still do that yet, I don't know, just to make it a little bit more artistic. And just experiment, basically. I haven't done any body painting or anything for years. But it was something that I've done in the past. When I used to work, one of my jobs was actually a model for art students. It sounds great. It sounds absolutely fantastic, but believe you and me, there are pros and cons to every job. And when somebody covers you in paint or plaster of Paris and they don't do it properly, it hurts. It can burn. It can take an age to get back off again. So if you are going to use a model for any as like a canvas and not an actual canvas, please do your research first, not just the artist but the model as well. Otherwise somebody may end up in A&E. Touch wood. I know that's plastic. I've never ended up in A&E from a major like injury whilst working. I think the worst injury I ever had was when I was posing for an art class at Lichfield College, and I actually fell off the chair, which they basically piled up really, really high in the classroom so that all the students could use me as their model. And I didn't realise, and the person I work with, bless him, he didn't realise, but the chair wasn't secured properly. And I fell and I hit a concrete floor. And although I did go to hospital, they said, we're not going to x-ray you. You probably have broken your ribs. But the fact that you're able to come into hospital and you're breathing and you're not in pain, other than the fact that your ribs hurt for like 12 to almost 20 weeks afterwards, which wasn't normal, I know. That was it. I didn't have any, touch wood, hopefully no broken bones, no concussion. It could have been a hell of a lot worse. So I'm always saying this to models. If you are asked to do any kind of modelling for people, make sure they do a proper health and safety check first. I know it sounds silly to say that, then they're saying all they want you to do is stand, for 20 minutes to an hour, which I can't do anymore. Because of my arthritis in my right knee. I don't know whether you can see, but this is my left and this is my right, and it's slightly always inflamed and swollen, which makes obviously standing for long periods of time not possible. And as a life model artist, that is in the job description. So I say this to the job centre. If I can't stand in a room in the buff, which sounds a bit better, as an artist model for the necessary time period that is required for me to do my job, then I'm not going to be any good to anybody. I mean, that's me literally standing in a room with no clothes on. So you imagine if I was doing a job where, I had to put on steel toe cap boots, thick socks, heavy duty trousers. I used to do landscape gardening. Other stuff. And, after a while, I said, clothes are heavy. I'm not trying to say that when I'm at home, I run around naked and I don't wear anything. But as you can see, because I am at home practically all the time now, I wear shorts. And I try really hard to just basically let my legs breathe. So when I do get these infections, they're not being constantly rubbed by fabric or getting further skin irritations. And I always used to say to the job centre that I felt more safer standing in a room with no clothes on, working for art students, than I ever did working in any other industry. And anyone who knows me, and not what you've heard, but anyone who really knows me as a person will know what I mean by that. I have had the opportunity to work in so many different employment industries, and I don't think apart from it being really tiring, the journey of getting to work and coming home, and the fact that they messed up my pay for about 6 months, but every employer I've worked for has done that. So that's a drop in the ocean. But I can honestly, hand on heart, say that I never came home from that job thinking like, I don't want to go back tomorrow, until obviously the day that did happen. I was employed by them for 8 years. They were my longest standing employer. And every single day that I worked for them, I loved it. I loved my job. Every other job that I've ever done, apart from my landscape gardening for Bracken Garden Services, anyone who lives in Nuneaton will know who they are. They are a fantastic landscape gardener. I would never recommend anybody else. So there's a bit of a plug there. If you need a gardener, contact him first and see if he's available. Every other person I've ever worked for, every other company I've ever worked for, it constantly felt like I was walking on eggshells or broken glass. And when you work in the, tell me, what's it called? I forgot the name. You work there at night, nightclubs, sorry. And when you work in nightclubs, you literally are walking on broken glass. It's probably where they got the expression from, or some song or something. And I hated it with a passion. And I used to go into the job centre begging them to help me look for a new job. Anything where I felt safe or secure, or I didn't feel like I was going to go into work and my manager was going to sexually assault me, or there's a few jokes in there like, oh, were they drunk, were they blind, were they deaf, were they dumb to do that? Well, newsflash, it doesn't matter who you are or what you look like. If somebody wants to do something to hurt you and they're given the opportunity to do so, they will. So anyway, I'm digressing again. I seem to do that a lot, one of my many habits. But yeah, I think, especially with my children, my son's got autism, which I don't mind sharing with people because I'm not lying. When he gets spots now on him, I have showed him my legs today, and I've said to him, when you get little bumps on your face as you get older, what mummy will do is she'll put these butterflies on you and they'll have butterfly kisses and they'll make you better. And I think, for baby children with special educational needs, not because you want to be patronising or you want to talk down to them, but, that even the NHS do it. They go, oh, we've got to put you to sleep, like Sleeping Beauty. And to do that, we're going to give you some magic milk. But first of all, we have to stab you in the arm, with this needle. So you'll feel a slight scratch. But so you don't, what we do is we put this special cream on first, which numbs the area. And you're sitting there as a parent and you're thinking, oh my God, talk to them like they're a human being, not like they're an idiot. And it just goes to show, as a parent with 3 children, and one of my children has autism, and when he went into hospital, I couldn't take him. He had to go with his dad, and his dad was a rock. I mean it. He was absolutely amazing. But they were so worried about his mental health and well-being, my child's, not their dad's, that they rung me and said, he's just woke up from surgery. He's gone absolutely haywire. And I'm like, yes, because you've sedated somebody with autism. Look, just let his dad give him a hug and a kiss, medically discharge him from the hospital and let him come home. If there are any problems, we will take full responsibility. And you're only literally 5 minutes down the road from where I live. My other child, my 5-year-old, who would have been 4 at the time, he had to go in. And all of the staff could not get over how well behaved he was. They were like, we have never had a child of this age be so relaxed, so calm, follow all the instructions they've been given. They haven't screamed, they haven't shouted, they haven't been violent. When they tried to obviously put the mask on him to get him to go to sleep, I held his hand and I said, it's okay, you can go to sleep now. You're safe. I love you and I will see you when you wake up. And the only thing he said when he woke up was, where's my baby dragon? Because I brought him a dragon to take into surgery with him, which I know they don't take it in, but to kind of make him feel better. And he said, now that I've had my operation, I'm hungry, give me food. And I said to the nurse, he's asking for something to eat. And they were like, no, that's brilliant, that's great, that's what we want to hear. And he was like, but I'm still tired, let me sleep first. Go away, Mum, I don't want you here. And they were like, how old is he? I said, he's 4. And they were like, I can't believe it. And the fact that I didn't even cry, they said, God, you're so strong. Every parent we have always cries. And I said, well, why did I need to cry? I'm crying now, thinking about it. I said, my little boy, if I started crying, I would have made it worse for him. And they said, no, thank you. They said, that's brilliant. And that was the Coventry and Warwickshire Hospital. So, like with everywhere, there's pros and cons with the NHS, but I cannot fault Coventry and Warwickshire Hospital. With my 4-year-old, they were absolutely amazing. But unfortunately, George Eliot, it's not their fault, and we try to explain this to them. I feel they need more training in supporting children with autism. So again, maybe if you can glean anything from my video and my waffling, maybe buying, these are called, let me just remind you what they are. They're called blemish patches, but these ones are in the shape of a butterfly. You can get different colours, but these may be an ideal way of helping children or people who suffer with like body confidence, like teenagers, when they have outbreaks of acne. I don't know how effective they are medically, but I know, like, if I was to use these with my children in the future, it's a bit like, when you get like the sticky plasters and they have cartoon characters on that the children can associate with. I remember my little boy, he just literally opened the entire box once and covered himself in all these plasters. And I said, why put those plasters on for? And he goes, these are my tattoos. Now I look like my auntie. And I was like, right, okay, yeah. And then I had to go and buy more. But it was nice that they weren't like traumatized or, distressed. And I think the sooner people kind of learn to cope with different levels of trauma, it's very beneficial for them and they become adults so that they don't end up with things like mental health issues or anxiety or depression or whatever. But then again, that can happen to anyone. It doesn't matter. It could only take one thing in your life and it kind of flicks the switch the wrong way. And then with enough help and support, it can potentially be pushed back the other. So enjoy the rest of your evening and thank you very much for listening to my waffle. And this is probably the first video that I've actually got through without yawning. So fingers crossed. And I just want to say that just because I wasn't a yawn, it doesn't mean it's not me.